I started a job at a canned vegetable company last month. It has been easy, boring job, at least up until yesterday. That is, on day one, I was shown around the factory. My supervisor gave me a walkthrough of entire factory. I saw each department and was given a brief description of what they do there. At the end of the day, I was told to come back the next day at 8 a.m. I was going to start in the boxing department, the last step in the factory. All I had to do was pull each case of canned goods off of the conveyor belt, ensure it was sealed, and place it on a wallet. It sounded easy enough. What about the room over there? I asked, pointing at the room with the fogged window. I could see conveyor belt going into it and coming out of it. But unlike the rest of the facilities, it was closed off. All of the windows were fogged, so you couldn't see inside. My boss signed and gave me a look that told me he was tired of the people asking about the room. Only restricted persons are allowed to go in there. The next morning, I started my shift. About an hour into my shift, I was bored, out of my mind. A box came down the conveyor belt and I sealed it and stacked it on a pallet. Another box, sealed it and pallet. I needed a break. I waved at my supervisor and told him I need a bathroom break. He checked his watch and shook his head. Already? He asked me in a frustrated tone. I'm sorry, nature called, I replied. He stepped over to my conveyor belt. I will cover you until you get back. Just try to be quick. He snapped. I walked to the bathroom and turned to make sure I was out of his line of sight. I was. I didn't have to use the bathroom and stood in the front of the bathroom for a second. That's when I heard the noise. I heard a horrible noise, like someone was throwing up, but the noise were coming from the restroom. They were coming from the room with the fogged window. I began to creep closer. The noise were becoming louder. When I reached the door, I cupped my hands over the glass and tried to look inside. Someone had seen me, and the door opened. I almost fell over backward, but I was able to recover. A middle-aged man wearing the same uniform I had been given stood there staring at me. You must be Brett, the new guy. You were supposed to be here an hour ago, he said. The wrenching sound was even louder, now with the door open. I could hear the other people talking inside the room. I wasn't Brett, but I needed to see what was going on inside. I knew that when my supervisor noticed I didn't come back, I would be fired. Or worse, if Brett showed up and they figured out I was lying, I would be in serious trouble. It was worth it. I hated my job anyway. The man brought me into the room. He pointed to a conveyor belt that led into a machine. The can will come in this side, the machine will seal them, and they will come out the other side, sealed and with label. Your job is to make sure they are sealed. If you see any leaking, pull them and place them on this barrel, okay? I nodded. It was simple. I wanted to look around to see what was causing the sound, but the can began to flowing in. Can of peas were moving into the machine and coming out sealed, and watched them for several minutes, and didn't see any that had failed to seal. But I had noticed that all of them were dented. I decided to turn and ask the man what to do with the dented cans. It would be a perfect excuse to look around the room. As I turned, I saw a large piece of equipment. A huge green insect was standing there. It was easily 6 feet and resembled a praying mantis. The creature was chained to the floor and vomiting violently into a 55-gallon barrel. 2 men were scooping the vomit and pouring small amount in each can of peas as they passed by. I screamed in disgust. The man who had let me into the room turned to me. He ran over and began to yell at me. You need to get back to your station. If one of those can get through unsealed, it can ruin everything. Within an hour of being exposed to air, these eggs can hatch. He screamed at me. What the fuck is that thing? I demanded. Tom didn't brief you before he sent down here? He asked. I said nothing. I stayed in horror at the giant insect. Yeah, eggs. The thing is an alien. We have arrangement with their species. It stays here, lays egg, and we spread through the food chain. We estimated about 100 eggs that are consumed by human will hatch. Why would you do this? I asked. I wanted to puke. The huge insect was staring at me while it continued to vomit. Brett, you were supposed to have been up to speed already. We don't have a choice. They supply us with tech, and we have to offer host to their offspring, so we can track how many we put in circulation. And at least the only people that will be lost are poor people and cheap people looking for bargain, he told me. That was it. I couldn't hold back any longer. I ran to the trash can and vomited. Besides, it's not half as bad as what they are doing with the corn.